lives. One of the most abundant creatures is the white-footed mouse. Two different kinds found on these islands. A giant, probably a leftover from an earlier invasion, and a much smaller one that probably came over again as a hitchhiker with man. Good climbers these are, and find their food wherever possible. On these islands, there are tremendous nesting colonies of birds of many different kinds. And some of them don't nest in their normal places. This crow's nest is right on the ground. You would seldom find a crow's nest on the ground on the mainland where there was a problem of marauding, ground-living predatory animals. All they can think of is a great big vacant stomach. Slightest disturbance and open come their mouths. One of the very few predatory animals on the island is the marten. And here, without any competition from other predators of its size, it behaves much more like a mink, living on the beach. Marten are extremely curious creatures, and this fellow came right up to us at our camp. It was a rare and interesting opportunity to photograph one of the normally wildest and shyest of the smaller flesh eaters of North America. Beautiful, silky brown fur with a lot of orange deep in the undercoat and patches of orange on the throat and chest. Normally feeding upon squirrels and mice on the Queen Charlotte's, living a large part of the time on the beach and eating many of the beach creatures because there were no squirrels native to these islands. Marten is the most arboreal of the weasel family. Canada geese are constantly in attendance. They nest there, they winter there. This is the large brown, dark brown race of the west coast. And along with them, the sandhill cranes nest in the muskegs and feed over the grassy areas adjacent to the beach. Eating plant food and insect food, snails and other small creatures of this sort, just as they come. Here too, on some of the little offshore islands, we have great colonies of diving birds. Such as this one, the ancient murrelet. Called ancient because of the gray whiskers on the side of its head. It seems as if its hair was going gray. It's one of the smaller members of the auklet family. They lay their 2 eggs in the bottoms of shallow burrows that they dig in the mossy and soft woody soil. And then about the end of May, after 3.5 weeks or so of incubating the eggs, one evening the eggs hatch. And that night the little fellows follow their parents to the sea. Here are the 2 downy young sitting in the entrance of the burrow. And let's follow the adventures of this little chap as he makes his first excursion into a cold, wet world. The parent birds are out at sea or down toward the beach calling, and he is heading unerringly for their voice, tumbling, stumbling, rolling where the cliffs upset him, dashing along on these little legs that have never yet run because he's only out of the egg a matter of a few hours. One of the most interesting examples of instinctive behavior taking place at a very early and tender age.